Hello, Virgo. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully your day is getting off to a great start. Great to see you. I'm really looking forward to bringing through the messages for you today. A big cycle change is coming through for all of you, and that's what I was picking up on primarily this morning. Let me put down Apollo here and we'll talk for a couple moments here. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and you are tuning into your monthly forecast for today, for the month ahead. I'm also going to just pull a preview here so I can see what's going on to make sure there's no technical issues. So what I was going to say is this is good for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And the way that I really set things up here on this channel is to empower. So if you're ever going through something and wondering, am I on the right path? Is there anything that I can do to course adjust? That's why you want to tune into one of these, because I'm a big proponent and a big believer in free will. Why would we show up here if we didn't have a chance to adjust, understand, and affect our eventual trajectory? So I'm here to help you with all of that today. Right beneath me here, you can see the format. I like to begin with channeled messages, which is what I'll be starting here in just a moment. The channel messages come through me in a combination of ways, starting with dream interpretation. Also, this morning as I was sitting here just in meditation, sometimes things will come through as well. Let me just put this to the side and we'll continue talking here. All right, so once we get through that, we're going to take a look at the Celtic Cross. And like the rest of my reading, it doesn't have to have a specific focus. The Celtic Cross is really a chance to see opportunities and potential challenges in your life. We'll then go into a more interactive portion where I'll look at big topics. I'll give you a chance to vote on some things. And then we always save room at the very end for a final question that you can meditate on. So if there's something very specific going on in your life, I would just ask that rather than typing it in chat, you just focus on it, write it down, and then first of all, messages should come through throughout the reading, but you'll have a chance to get a specific message at the end, okay? So that's the overall organization for today. Couple of quick notes before we get into the channel messages. If you'd like to chat in the live reading here today, you have to be a subscriber, so you can do that by clicking the subscribe button. It's free. It offers you things like the ability to chat, and it also helps the channel grow. Another free way to show support is simply to click the like button. You can only do it once per video, but again, it helps YouTube rank the video a little bit higher. So at the very least, hit that if you can. It does help, even though I'm sure you get tired of hearing it. That bell will also allow you to get any notifications of future videos, or you can simply follow me on social media as well. I always put out a tweet or a story on the day of the readings, and also if there's any other sort of newsworthy items coming through. My name is always my handle, except for Twitter because of character limitations. If anybody ever says that it's their second account or they're asking you for something, that's a big red flag. I don't use chat on social media. If you want to chat, show up live to one of my live videos, and that's where we'll do it, okay? If you'd like to show a little bit of love and support while I'm doing this, you can basically click on the little dollar sign, and there's a way to do super chat. If you'd like to join the channel, this is a way to contribute on a monthly basis. Patreon is another example of how to do that. I did pin a link to my website in the live chat, so you can click on that if you'd like some more official information on anything that we talked about. And you can always see my schedule also on my website. Okay, so with that being said, why don't we move along to the channeled messages? So some interesting sort of visuals came through in my dreams last night. So before I get into the presentation, I'll talk about that, and then I'll pull up the slides that I made. One thing that I was seeing was a combination of things happening really quickly, and then almost as if I was like a photographer taking things in stop motion or using a slow motion camera, so I could see basically all the events leading up to and then after a key moment. So I think that you're going to be in something that's going on so fast that the universe kind of wants you to slow down and maximize it. And also sometimes things could appear to be something that they're not. So let's now get into the presentation, and I'll help you out with what we're going to talk about today. I don't think I've ever used this particular totem before. I wanted to talk a little bit about sunspots or a sunspot. And in case you don't know what it is, I just took a screenshot of the Wikipedia page here. This is what they look like. And as I was looking at that picture, I actually have some fresh sunflowers here. It kind of reminds me of the center portion of a sunflower. So these are one of my favorite. In addition to orchids, I love sunflowers just because they're beautiful, right? But you go to the center of a sunflower and you have the sort of that sort of granular thing that you would see in a sunspot as well, right? So let's talk about how and why this is important. First of all, sunspots are not actually dark. They appear dark because of the temperature difference and because the rest of the sun is so hot and so bright. What causes that? Basically, they're cooler and there is this magnetic change within that region that causes the convection or the sort of movement to go in a different direction. They actually appear on active regions of the sun, and there's like an 11-year solar cycle. So some of you might actually be on this reset where there could be something going on in your life and you feel like there's a lack, right? Or it seems dimmer or not as clear as it used to be. And what it really is this new cycle, this new reset coming in. It appears dark, but it's still light. It's just the comparison of that versus the rest of this blazing sun, right? So I chose the Chariot card instead of the Sun card here because it is about being at the wheel. And one of the things that my guide showed me was a collision with the car, but it's not about the car. It's about you needing to kind of like shift, if you're ready and willing, to a different path because this one seemed like a dead end. And I saw the person in the driver's seat seeing that it was a dead end and just continuing to drive. So clearly symbolic and also something that can be avoided, but I did put that some things can be controlled, some things cannot. So if you've stayed too long on a path that no longer suits you, another card that I could insert here would be the Tower card. So use the Chariot to avoid the Tower, and that's why I put it here. If you see the dead end, or if you continue to move towards a dead end, it's time to do like a 90-degree or a 180-degree turn and course correct. That's all that this really was about. And just like the sunflower, it's all bright. It's going to be okay. Sometimes it's scary to do that change, but it's usually better than continuing to go towards something that no longer makes sense. So for those of you that feel stuck in a relationship, a job, a path at school, an activity in your life, something where it just feels like, why am I doing this? This card is saying you don't have to anymore. And if you keep doing it, you're probably going to be jettisoned in a different direction eventually. Keep on shining. You already are. Sunspots look dark, but they're not. They're just, like I said, temperature differences. So if you were to go in that, there would still be light there. They remind us to look into our shadow energies, however, because even the brightest person still is dealing with something on this planet or we wouldn't be here. So look at your ego, look at your fears, try to take that high road if you can. And remember that one small mistake, one small setback, lack of judgment, etc., it does not negate everything that you've done. It does not prevent you from continuing to progress towards your goals. You still have a lot of potential, a lot of light, and a lot of brightness. We all make mistakes. It's about how we decide to learn from them. If we choose to kind of repeat them, there's so many different things that kind of come to mind when I think about this. So just keep shining and being brilliant because you have that capacity. Look deeper. Like I said, there's this illusion with the sunspots that it's like probably back in beginning days when we didn't know a lot about astronomy, we looked at the sun and saw this and thought the sun is dying. It's not. This is just natural cycles of change and movement. So sometimes things seem like it's Chicken Little and the sky is falling, but the curveball or the block, quote unquote block, may actually just be a blessing or a push from the universe saying, wait a second, stop, pause, hit the pause, because that was something that I kept seeing was all of a sudden it went to like stop motion or slow motion. Okay. What is this about? A cycle reset, and it's also about upgrades that want to come through. So I chose the World card here because the World is one of the nicest cyclical change, or I should say like symbols that we can get for change. You can get different ones. Like I would choose the World over Death. I would choose the World over the Tower. I would choose the World even over the Six of Swords because it shows that you've absolutely graduated the lesson. The other ones are on their way to this, but this is the final card of the Major Arcana, and then it resets with the Fool. So all of the other Major Arcana cards are still showing that you need to learn a little bit or you're moving through something. This shows me that you're done. So things have to finish at some point so something new can come in. I think you're ready, but there might be something that you're holding on to. So you may find yourself at one of the other symbolic door cards that I just talked about. Again, it could be Death, Tower, Six of Swords. It could also be Four of Swords. There's different sort of levels of adjustment and mourning and movement. Wherever you are, it's okay, but I see you eventually getting to this, which is going to allow you to expand. I put a final note at the bottom there, and when you're ready for that graduation, if you will, just tell the universe, say, I'm ready for an upgrade. I'm ready to release this. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the experience. I don't need it anymore. I would like to experience something higher, brighter, and more aligned to my path, right? Okay. So everybody here is magical. Everybody here is intuitive. You wouldn't be tuning into my channel if you weren't. That means that you have the ability to connect with magician energy. The only thing that ever holds back the magician is distraction or disbelief. Same thing more so with the magician than the high priestess, because there's too much around the magician. There's you can kind of do anything that you put your mind to, which is true of your sign. But if you get distracted, if you lack faith in yourself, or if you start to focus on the wrong thing being something that is kind of bringing you off your path, it's going to be that sunspot where the energy just kind of is in a circle for a while or is going in a different direction. So this is your chance to sort of jettison out of that and go in another direction. Being able to move into the energy of change is going to help you. So what is the best way that I could describe this? I was having a conversation with one of my best friends from when I was a kid. We were talking about meditation and how initially when he was trying to meditate, he would focus so much on trying to clear his mind. And then if a thought came in, he would then put energy into the thought and everything. And I said, I kind of view meditation as it's almost like this energetic flow. And if you just allow yourself to almost be transparent and let the energy flow through you rather than blocking it or trying to even surf the energy of change, like I say with the death card, I think it's sometimes even more powerful just to exist and see that you're in it, you're above it, you're around it, you're part of it. And then when you're kind of meditating, then whatever thoughts come or go, it doesn't even matter because it's almost like you're taking this bird's eye view. So this is a better example to kind of break it down is like Neo in the Matrix, when at the end of the first movie, he could see everything and then stop it and move with it. And this is kind of what you can start to do when you realize this was going to happen anyway. This person's always felt this way. I've always had this sort of trigger. I'm now capable of letting it all go and doing something different with it. So I kind of feel like this is a really exciting time for your sign. We're entering into a retrograde, by the way, next month. So the next 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, give you a big chance to get stuff started, finished, and ready for that period so you can actually have a little bit of a relaxation period towards the middle of next month. So that's my hope for you anyway. I believe that is the last slide. Let me see if I missed anything. One more slide. This was the slow motion thing that I was talking about. Slow down, be present, make every moment count. Really kind of embody the Two of Wands. See what you're trying to do, see who you are, and trust that it's going to come together. And this is, when combined with the Magician or the High Priestess, equals manifestation, equals synchronicity. So just keep trusting in your vision and have a vision, have a point of view, because a lot of times one of the reasons that we're having difficulty seeing things, whether it is for those of you looking for love, a partner, for those of you looking for a new job, the right opportunity, for those of you just looking for your purpose, it's sort of like you're ambling around. Take some time to really sort out what makes you happy and what you can do to kind of pull more of that energy into your life. And also like what you can do to embody some of that stuff that you're seeking, specifically when we're looking at partnerships. Because when you become that sort of energy that you seek, then you naturally attract it because you don't need it as much. It's kind of ironic. That's the way manifestation works. So the more you work on yourself, the more you don't need something, the higher the chances that you're probably going to pull it in. So keep doing the inner work. And we're going to be focusing today predominantly on that inner work. So I'm going to select a few decks of cards that you can choose to vote on today. I'm going to look at two unusual ones because of the sunspot energy. I think one that I was called to look at was this sort of Spirit Within because it has silhouettes and it's like shadow and light. I believe this one's called Revelations. It has both the upright and the reversed cards like visible, so it doesn't matter. So again, doing a play on shadows and light with some of these. And then I'm going to do Light Seer's deck because, again, we're looking at all the light we can get. And let me see if there's one other one that I haven't used in a while. Let me just take a quick look here. And then I'm just going to use one of my favorites here, which is the Wildwood Tarot. So let me set up the poll for all of you, and we'll select from these options, okay? And yeah, I looked at Prismavision, but I'm just going to stick with these for now. And Prismavision might be a good choice, actually, because there is shadow and light. Okay, so I'll swap to that one. I had it in my hands, and I agree. All right, so these are ones... Most of them except Light Seers that I don't normally use, so I like to kind of shake things up a little bit for you. Okay, give me a chance to set up the poll, then you can vote, and then we will get started on today's reading. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. We've got Spirit Within. I'll show you these two in case you don't know what they look like. Revelations, Light Seers, and Prismavisions. I think this is Prismavisions. We'll take a look here in just a moment. All right. So let me kind of introduce you to these decks if you've never seen them before. So the first one that I was talking about here is the Spirit Within, option number 1. So you can see it's a sort of atypical deck that doesn't show the faces of people. It's all silhouettes. Seemed like it went well with today's topic. Because we're looking at everything as being a blessing, Revelations kind of shows both sides of the equation here. So there's upright and reversed in every card, and we can focus on whatever comes through, but we can always see the way to get around it. So this is a really cool deck. I think everybody here has seen the Light Seers deck at least once. Just a beautiful deck overall and lots of light in it, which is why we're going to put that up there for consideration. And then Prismavisions, which looks like Van Gogh, and yeah, kind of has a nice kind of interplay between shadow and light as well. I don't use it as much because I do feel like some of the court cards are very similar, but it's a beautiful deck, so you guys can choose whichever one. Let's take a look and see which one is coming in the lead here, and then we'll move from that. All right, so let me take a look at the poll. And it looks like Spirit Within and Revelations is in the lead. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now, and we'll see which one. We may have a tie here. And in that case, I let the cards decide. So give me a second here. All right, so no, Revelations won with 29% of the vote. Light Seers 27, Spirit Within 21, and Prismavisions. Okay, so Revelations it is. It's a good choice. And I like it because it shows both sides of the equation. All right. Let's get started, everyone. We're going to be looking now at the Celtic Cross here. And again, this is for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Something special today, you can always use this for sun, rising, and moon signs, but today what I'm going to do is actually put some special messages towards the end. So right before we go into meditation, I'll pull a sun, rising, and moon as well. So we only got about 50 votes on that one, but I went with what won. So don't worry about it. You'll get exactly what you need here. And I often will rotate those. I put different decks up each time when I kind of offer it for this. But I already like your choice. I think it's a beautiful deck, and it has some really great messages. So I'm happy that this one won, and we got the world here. So good choice, everybody. Whatever is supposed to be chosen is chosen. All right. All right, let's take a look at all the messages here and see what's coming through. So we have this beautiful ocean card here as your catalyst. Catalyst, just as a reminder for the new folks, is something to kick the action in the right direction, to keep you aligned to that higher purpose or higher calling. And it's just general advice to kind of like really maximize the energy of the month. So the ocean card is kind of what I was talking about, being in the flow of the energy. Imagining that you are not a block in that flow, that you are actually just part of it and you're letting the energy flow through you, which is, by the way, very magician-like, because the magician is a channel. As above, so below. You're the mortal channel that brings that energy between heaven and earth, right? Or between you and the divine. So see yourself in the flow like the magician, capable of channeling, not being overwhelmed with or by what's going on, being a part of it and being a channel for it. All right. And that's actually the unique sort of approach and message that I'm getting here with this particular ocean card. The ocean card, again, any water card can indicate heightened emotional periods of time. So you may feel a lot of excitement or anxiety or anything of that nature, anything across the spectrum, sadness as well. All of these things play an important part, because if we're constantly in one space, we forget what it's like. I think we've all been through a point where we're extremely sad or extremely happy, and we know it's bittersweet when you're in the happy points because you're like, this is so great, I want it to last. But it's very comforting in the lower points because you know that it won't persist. So we spend more of our times floating in the middle, like the river, or like the ocean card. So it's not all about the high or the low tide. We spend most of the time either waxing or waning in either direction. So try to ride that middle energy, try to be the conduit, try to be the magician energy this month. And then you are part of the ocean. You're not beholden to it. You're not being sort of splashed around by it. Okay? Super important. And I think that will help you be your most powerful this month. Okay? Let's look at your center card. So at the center of the spread, we have the Eight of Swords. It is reversed, which is good. And we can see that. This is why I like this deck. You can see the difference here. So the traditional Eight of Swords blindfolded, and the reverse one. And this, by the way, folks, is why I read reversals. They have different meanings. Not doing reversals is like not using half of the dictionary or half of the alphabet or ignoring half the signs on the street. Why not read what's coming through? So when you are walking away from that feeling of being trapped, when you are no longer afraid of ambiguity, the blindfolds come off. She has this aha moment. Oh, that's what's going on. Or, oh, I didn't realize I could do this. Or maybe I should try this instead. So what we have with Eight of Swords in reverse is an awakening moment, right? So the question for you is, are you ready and willing and able to kind of embrace what that third eye is starting to open up to? I hope so, because this is really beckoning in a period of time where you are freer and more powerful to kind of make things happen in your life, okay? Finding comfort in the unknown, realizing that a lot of people are in that same sort of energy will help you out, because we don't get to see everything. Even as intuitives, there are certain things that are left to free will and also just our own sort of energy of manifestation. Some things are just going to happen. So realize here that you don't need to see everything in order to be prepared, in order to be able to succeed. Just be awake and aware when it happens. For those of you that are wondering why something hasn't happened in your life yet, the center card is being crossed by justice. Because it's being crossed, it's neither upright or reversed. And I'm going to read it more as an upright or a possibility card as a result. What is justice? Justice is you trying to decide, is this for me? Is this me? Who am I? Do I want this? There's a decision-making sort of thing that's happening. It can be the sort of beginning of a question of disbelief, like, can I really handle this? Does this person really like me? And those shadows of doubt are things you want to be careful of this month. Unless there's something that's kind of tangibly giving you proof on that, most of the times it's just fear coming through. You may also be at that precipice of trying to figure out how to do the right thing. Because if we look at these two center cards, this is, I now am aware of something that I didn't want to see before or wasn't entitled to see. I've awakened. What am I going to do about that? I feel differently about this. I feel like I might need to step away. I might need to step up. I might need to say something. The scales of balance have shifted and you are holding them. You're basically justice. So you have to make a decision. Where do you stand? And that's really what the universe is kind of asking you with this is where do you stand? What do you want? And you get to decide what to do. Okay. I like that it's kind of an inanimate card on this particular deck here. The only thing that I do see that I haven't noticed before is the cogs here of time. It does feel like there's a deadline during which you have to, during which you have to make this decision. So I would say probably within this next 6 to 8 week period, you really need to kind of like sort out where you stand on something so that we were talking about synchronicities and openings and gateways so that as one of these approaches and avails itself to you, you can do something cool with it, right? So there you go. Let's look at what's affecting you in the deep past. In the deep past, we have temperance reversed, and a lot of times this can just be impatience. I don't want to wait any longer for this to happen. Reminds me of that old song from Dawson's Creek. I can't think of the name of the person that sang it, even though I used to have one of her albums. But yeah, like impatience, I don't want to wait for my life to be over to start something, right? So with this card in reverse, we can actually see temperance almost acting too quickly, not focusing on what needs to happen here. And I would say from Paula Cole, it just came to me, it was Paula Cole. Anyway, I would say don't lose your cool, don't act too swiftly before you've made the decision. Make sure that when you make the decision, you are fully behind what you want to do. Because people may come to you and test you on it and say, hey, how do you feel about this, right? Are you sure? And you don't want to be caught off guard when someone says, are you sure? And you're like, I don't know, I think so. As you make this big shift, as you take this next leap, you have to really feel confident about your decision. So take some time right now. Again, this whole forecast is just about a month to a month and a half. So that's plenty of time to make a big decision. In the past couple of weeks, I had to make a bunch of rapid decisions and I had hours or days versus months. It's amazing what the human mind and body can do when you have to make really quick decisions, right? You can do it. Sometimes we just feel like we need more time than we actually need. So I'm here to tell you, you'll be able to sort through this, but just kind of like go inward and think on a gut level, on a heart level, on a sort of spiritual level, do I like this or do I not? The scales of justice on this one don't have to be overly complicated, okay? All right, so let's see what else is coming through here. All right, so we have the Eight of Cups here, and the Eight of Cups is the cycle opportunity that I talked about, making and breaking cycles. So this is an open door, and I like to remind folks that it can be as open as you want it to be, or it could also be a chance for you to simply sort of say, wow, I wasn't aware that I kind of had this habit, I'm ready to let it go, et cetera, et cetera. So let's take a look at this and break it down a little bit. Okay, so Eight of Cups. If you need to take a break, a sabbatical, a holiday from something, this usually means that people are supportive of that. They're going to say, take all the time you need, we'll be here when you get back. Typically, there is still a little bit of a deadline on some of these things. For any of you that might have taken a work sabbatical or a school sabbatical, usually it's a matter of months, maybe if you're lucky, a year or so. But at some point, just like paternity or maternity leave, they expect you to come back and say, are you still on board? The same thing happens with this card in our lifetimes, but it may be a little bit longer. So there could be something where you stepped away without tying up loose ends. There was a breakup, but you didn't get the closure you needed. There was something that you didn't finish because of life interruptions, but your heart's still kind of attached to it. So maybe it's like finishing up a degree or taking some sort of a trip that you wanted to take, but it had to go on hold because of family or sickness or money or something of that nature. So the Eight of Cups can indicate a desire, a lingering desire that needs to be satiated. It can indicate a person with whom you have open karma that you need to sort of resolve in this lifetime. And it can also be indecision. And because we have a retrograde cycle coming around again, of course, Eight of Cups is coming through to sort of say, where do you stand now? Get ahead of the cycle and let the universe know so that you're not kind of dealing with this when there is a retrograde happening, right? The nice things with this one is it is a card of second chances. So if there was something in your life where you felt like, I dropped the ball, I wish I had done this, if only I could do this again, then the portal is opening up again. You may not be able to like repeat exactly what it was. It could be an upgrade. It could be something different, but it's going to help fulfill that underlying question of, well, what would that have been like? And my question to you is what's holding you back from exploring or experimenting to see why you left that kind of like unfinished. So this is a chance for you to finish business and to get the second chances and to close the door on something. If there is someone in your life and they've been kind of lingering there for a while, this is also a chance for you to kind of let that go if you're ready, okay? So yeah, I really like it. I like that it appears in the recent past. We're looking a little bit ahead, so this is something many of you are going through right now. This is the decision card, though. The universe is waiting for your decision to kind of deal with this. And we have the Four of Wands here, so there's a very good outcome that could happen here. So more on that in just a moment. But let's talk about the Knight of Wands here in the crowning position. Do the right thing. We were talking about having your eyes open up with that Eight of Swords at the center. So many of you can't unsee what you have seen. And this card is saying, all right, then I know what I have to do. And then my question as a reader for you is there something holding you back? And if so, why? Because this card seems pretty ready, pretty decisive in regards to what needs to be done. So if you're just pausing and you're waiting for some sort of external sign, this is saying knights take action. They take orders too, but they also do what's right and they have a code of conduct. So if you know what you need to do, you don't need someone to tell you to do that. You just do that. That's part of being an adult and part of just sort of like doing good things on this planet, right? The Knight of Wands also just takes on a different energy when it's in your head space. It's a chance for you to really move your thoughts forward, to develop, to convey, to deliver. It's a good card for business, ideation, and just getting into the right headspace. So let's say, as we kind of look at all of these cards, that you maybe hit a mental block, or you were distracted, or there was a lot of other stuff going on in your life, but you're finally deciding, enough now with this. I've been patient enough on all of these things. I'm just going to let it go. I've seen what I need to see on this, and I'm ready to kind of take it in a different direction. The Knight of Wands is saying, good, now is the right time, because your energy is quite attractive right now. We have the Four of Wands right here. So this is you pushing the sort of needle forward. This is other people saying, yeah, we are interested. Talk to me more. Tell me more about this. I love this Four of Wands. It almost looks like it's in the middle of a bunch of Post-its or stickies or papers here. So if you're trying to convey communication or messages right now, people are getting your mental drift. It's a good time to communicate. Something I wouldn't normally see with the Four of Wands. I would associate communication more with swords, but the power in this is not so much your words as it is the people that are already behind you, the people that may be around you that are going to help you. You're not alone. I see offers coming in. So for those of you looking to sell something like a house, looking to find something like a job, looking to even put yourself out there to date, this is good because it shows offers on the table. You need to know what you want, though. Let me take a drink and we'll talk about that. Just putting out to the universe, I want something, it doesn't necessarily help manifest something specific or something that suits you. So, when I read for people and they're saying, I need to start a family and I need to find a man or a woman and I need to get married. I'm like, those are very general things. They're specific. I know you want certain milestones, but when you're looking for a partner, what qualities are you looking for? And should the deadline really be the only thing that you're focusing on? Are you ready? Whenever I read for somebody for anything, whether it's love or another opportunity, the first thing that I'll do is look and see, if I were to meet you right now, how are you showing up? Are you actually ready? And we don't need to do that because it's all here in the cards here. So some of you are just awakening to that. And I would say give yourself a little bit more time because I feel some of you have just figured out who you are. This card is saying, now that you know yourself, what do you want? Specifically, what do you want? And the impatience piece shouldn't make you skip straight to the commitment piece of a contract or a relationship or anything of that nature. So You're nearly there. I would say the main thing for you is to focus on developing the thought, developing yourself, developing the sort of your own sort of skills and just anything in your life that you need to sort of further see growth on first. Because then when you connect with the person, the place, or the thing that you feel like you need or want, you're going to be ready and it's going to go exactly where you want it to go. Okay, so it's not so much about the finding the person, it's doing the work internally and recognizing in slow motion what's going on around you, because the universe is already presenting options. You just may be sort of distracted to them, or again, maybe not have done all the internal work. That being said, let's say that you actually know what you want, you're ready to do it. This is a very receptive and attractive card. So Four of Wands is saying that if you set it all up and you believe and you kind of hold the space, things start to come in into that Four of Wands space. And again, outstretched arms saying, how about this? How about this? A bunch of aces coming in, bunch of Ace of Pentacles almost with this. Even though we're in Wands, I think opportunities are incoming. All right. So I'm excited about that. If we just take it on a high level and forget about everything that we saw here, the placement of this can also indicate friendship or love. You always want me to tell you if this is a good time for friendship or love. Yes, ... but we got to get over the Ten of Swords in the environment. And yes, this could be really big. I see a really nice energy coming through, but we've got to sort you out first. So let's do that. Because I'm not just reading love, I'm reading your preparation for love, for friendship, and for opportunities so that you don't sort of let that slip through your hands. All right, let's focus on you. Many of you feel the pressure to succeed or to please others, and that isn't where all the focus should be right now. This is showing up in the ego. Six of Wands in reverse, if we look at it here really closely, it's the person looking over their shoulders. All right, so upright position, we see the person going forward and people following them. The reversed card, we see someone kind of looking over their shoulders and kind of second guessing themselves. So this happens a lot if we look at musicians, right? The sophomore slump. Sometimes we see it in sequels in movies. Not always. Sometimes the second's better than the first, but sometimes the third or fourth is not as good. Because what happens is the originality that maybe was in the first movie or the second is lacking, and then people go into the formulaic. And it's like, well, got to have this person, got to do this, and this has to happen by this time. And you just sort of wish that they would try something different. So success is not formulaic. There are certain elements of success that we see, but you can't keep repeating the same formula. It's not like cooking. And even with cooking, some of the best things happen when you have to substitute or experiment. Otherwise, we would have the same sort of flavors all the time. We have to try new things. So what you need to do is go inward rather than looking over your shoulder and wondering, what do others want? You're going to forge forward and think, wait a second, what do I want? And hasn't this served me well before? And if it doesn't, at least I'm following through on the hunch, on the intuition that I had that this is going to be the right thing. So don't be afraid to experiment. Don't do something formulaic. And don't feel like you have to do something procedural just because it's always been done. There are times and places where procedures and formulas are important. But there are other places when we're looking at research and development, particularly, where we have to go counter to that. It can't just be the status quo. We have to go with an epiphany. We have to try something different. And that's what's coming through for you. And that's what's going to help you recognize something new in your life. Okay? All right. So let's be nice. I see something here where someone, let's not typecast signs. Someone's saying, what's up with like Virgo men? I think we're going to remove that comment. We need to be kind of nice when it comes to signs. Every sign is going through something, and you never know where your placement is on that. So let's kind of hold back on that. So let's move into the next piece here, which is what's going on in your environment. All right, so in your environment here, we have the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is coming through to remind you, just kind of like I was talking about, let's avoid harsh speech. Let's avoid typecasting people or holding a grudge, because that is silly. When anybody, and that's a surefire way to get a comment removed. If you ever say, I hate all of this type of person, whether it's a sign or anything else, you're actually blinding yourself to the truth. You're saying, it's like blind justice. Why would you assume that every type of person would be one way? So what you want to do is some inner work to think, why am I attracting this type of person? Maybe some of them ended up being Virgo, but as someone with a Virgo placement, I take offense to that too, because it's not indicative of that. For me, it's in my Venus. I have to look there, but yeah, Venus, Virgo. So let's use that sort of energy of love towards one another. We should never say all men, all women, all people of one, anything are one way. That's kind of closed-minded. And it's in perfect connection, so thank you, to what's going on in the environment, which is the Ten of Swords. Avoid that sort of, that language of bias. Let's not be biased. If you're holding on to something, a grudge or anything of that nature, then I want you to think a little bit about, like, how is it hurting me? I recently went through a loss, and there was someone else in my life that was in pain, and we needed to heal things a little bit. And I was just like, I've got other things to focus on. We're good. Because in the whole scheme of things, when you go through a big life change, something that seemed like a mountain is a molehill in the whole scheme of things. When we're looking at life and death, which is something that I had to deal with recently with the passing of someone, the stuff that used to bother you doesn't. It happened when I lost my dad. It happened when I lost my mom. Each time that you kind of go through, it can happen when you lose a job, when you have a scare, like a health scare, or you have an NDE, a near-death experience. You just start to realize, I don't have time to sweat the small stuff. We're good. I'm focusing on something else. So I think you have a chance to heal right now. I am looking at the attachment of the two people here with the Ten of Swords. So there's a chance for you to let someone or something go in your life, right? So for the person, just because it happened in chat, that said, all others are like this, you're actually calling a mirror of yourself. So look at what it is that bothered you about the other person and ask yourself, why did that happen? Why is that happening to me? And someone, the person that was typing this said, like, why are they kind of like going to extremes? It probably is because you're going to extremes too. So you pull in people that are very similar to you, or you're kind of going in that vacillation energy. So like we have the scale of justice at the center here. And I've been pushing Virgo to decide. So when you decide, you'll then get away from people that lack that decisiveness. Or that, I should not say the indecisiveness. So for people that kind of vacillate all the time, some of it could be because you have internal things that you haven't kind of sorted out, so they're testing you. So just work on being decisive and strong, and then at a certain point, walk away and think, I'm not ready for this yet. I have some internal work to do. It's not so much about this person. Yes, they have issues, but there's some things that I need to focus on. So forgiveness would be the first thing. Looking at what people are revealing about you. Why am I triggered by this? So if someone in your life comes through and they really get under your skin, why are you triggered by it? Learn from that experience, learn from that exchange. When the Ten of Swords is in the environment, it's avoidable. It means you don't have to go down that path. So if someone at work tries to get you to say or do something you don't want to do and you know it's wrong, do the right thing. You've got your eyes open, and we have a Knight card here, which indicates to me it's like a double justice sort of energy. So I think that's super important here. Let me see what else we could talk about for that. It's very, very interesting that you talked about the Venus flytrap. I think that a lot of times that that's really what kind of an argument can be. Someone wants to get you into their energy and then kind of like feed off of that. So that's actually a great analogy there. So don't allow that to happen. Simply say, it sounds like you're in pain. Is there anything going on? Why did this come up? This is very atypical. Become the investigator rather than simply reacting. So yeah, be like the private investigator and get to the bottom of something. And I think that's going to help save you a lot of time and energy. Don't be afraid to walk away from a problem that has nothing to do with you. Let some other people sort it out unless they're ready and willing to ask for your help or receive your help. Okay, so an avoidable snafu in the environment, and you really don't need to kind of let that consume you, because the rest of the cards today are very, very positive. Okay, looking at opportunities, you actually got a couple here. So we have the Seven of Cups in reverse, and that is making your mind up, which we talked about. And then we have the Knight of Swords, which could be someone that you're pulling into your life for those of you that are looking for love or partnership, and we'll talk more about that potential connection first. But let's look at the Seven of Cups, and then we'll look at the Knight of Swords here. So the Seven of Cups in the upright position is pretty interesting here. So this one we see someone that's looking at everything, getting really excited about the opportunities, and they're just sort of saying like, I know what I want. So that's the reversal. The upright one is more focusing on what do I do? And they're still in the sort of conjuring phase, the manifestation one. This is saying, I know what I want, and because I know what I want, it's going to happen a lot faster. And that's really the key to the Seven of Cups upright. It's saying, I did the research. I did the inner work. I talked around. I tried something different. Now I know that either I like that or I don't like that, or I want this or I don't want this, and that gives me the peace of mind to walk to this next opportunity without wondering. So do the research, make a choice, and go with that choice. You can always consider along the way if you need to course correct or go back. But at this point, the universe is saying, if you can focus, if you can embrace it, if you can give it a chance, then it has legs, it has opportunity. And that's what we see here with the Knight of Swords. It should actually, you'll see some movement and some return on your energy a lot faster than you think you might normally, okay? Knight of Swords can be someone coming into your life because it's in opportunities, right? So some of you are, and this person, by the way, could come in really fast. So sometimes the universe is waiting for an inner acceptance. I am enough, I am ready, justice. I don't want this, or I do want this. Or just simply walking away from or towards something new. Once you've made that initial decision, then we start to see someone or something rapidly coming in. You may be asked to sign a contract quickly. You may be asked out on a date. You may be approached with a new idea, with a new opportunity. And also, if you decide to move forward on an offer, like for a house or applying towards a job or something, you'll hear back sooner than later. So at least you'll know where you stand. I see movement and communication happening for you, but you have to know who you are. If you're in the face of someone who doesn't know what they want, ask a question and move on if they can't give you the decision. So I talk about like interviewing, something I haven't had to do for a while, but back when I was like the 15 years that I was working in traditional corporate environments, I definitely did my fair share of interviews. And I was a freelancer for a long time too. So one thing that drove me crazy was if you went into a place and you could kind of tell that they couldn't sum up the job or what their company did, or they didn't have a lot of questions for you, or they were all over the place. So if it was lacking cohesiveness and focus, I thought, oh no, like not only are there some challenges here at the job, but leadership, and also it looks like the group in general, they don't know who they are. There's an identity crisis. So if you connect with a job or a person that's kind of in that identity crisis, do you really want to be doing double duty as a therapist, as a project manager, as all of these different things to bring it together? If someone has to keep interviewing you or dating you, because it's the same process, just with a different sort of goal, but like interviewing, I think honestly 3 or 4 is enough. I've talked, when I've been through, I went once through 5 interviews and it went nowhere, and then the company closed. I have talked to some neighbors here who have had more than 4, and it usually doesn't go anywhere. To me, unless it's a really high security job, like for government, and there's all these sort of things that you have to go through, and that's normal procedure, that's fine. But in a normal company, by the 2nd or 3rd interview, you should know where you're at. And then it should just be formalities. If they're still asking you questions and can't decide, they're not ready for you. They're not ready. They don't know what they want. And the way that I landed one job where I had just been on a ton of interviews, and it was this one, it was like the 2nd or 3rd, I said, you've had enough time with me. If you can't decide now, you're not going to be able to, and you've been interviewing for 1.5 years for a position that's been open. That tells me that you need someone now. And I think I'm about as good as it gets. So don't wait too long on this. And I walked out thinking, I don't need this, I don't want this. And they called me later that day and I had a job. But sometimes you have to kind of snap people into the clarity too. Like, why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? Okay. Now with that one, I should have listened to my intuition, which was they were taking too long and there were problems. And it was very 7 of Cups, lack of leadership. So in retrospect, the new version of me, this version of me would have said, I'm not interested. I mean, I'm interested, but you guys aren't ready. Call me in a couple years when you've sorted out some of this stuff. So anyway, you're headed in a good direction, Virgo. We've got the World card here. Expansion, exposure, dissemination, movement, graduation, travel, all kinds of good stuff is associated with the World card. It was exactly what I was connecting to when I talked about the channeled messages. And I chose this over some of the cyclical cards that we could have seen here because I thought this is really where you want to go. We want to see you graduate, right? Let me see what I put on the card here when we were talking about the world. Here it is. So what I put earlier was you're entering into a new phase of your life where some things need to change, fade, or fall away. And I think that it's a natural sort of graduation on that. So like that temporary sunspot, it may leave an empty space initially, the Fool, but that's going to be a space for something better to come through. So tell the universe, like I said here, that you're ready for your upgrade to come through. So are you ready? I mean, I don't want you to ask for it unless you're actually ready. But if you are ready, then I think some really cool things can be coming. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead now and move into the next portion, which is the expanded forecast. We're going to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And that's going to give us new lenses through which we can kind of navigate the energy of the month ahead. Okay. All right, starting with the health card, mind, body, and spirit, let's take a look and see what the message is. So we have this lovely cut the cords, cut the nonsense card as well. So I love this an angel coming through just saying, you can do this. It's not as hard as you think. And for some of you, what you might have needed to get to that point was this, the 10 of Swords. Sometimes someone has to trigger us. They have to say something blatantly ridiculous or hurtful, or we have to go through an event where it's sort of like, I don't want this anymore because I don't like the way that I feel. So this moment of pain or discomfort gives you the necessary shift to get into the cord cutting. Cord cutting energetically sounds scary, but it's actually pretty easy. It's basically closing your eyes, thinking of the thing that you want to disconnect from and just saying, I release you. You can imagine that you are going through and snipping the cords. You can imagine that you're pushing energy, like heart light energy out, and it just melts. You can see the cords disintegrating. That is all kind of just up to you and your imagination. The main thing is saying, I release this, and I'm ready for something different, something better, something higher. The main thing is releasing it. And that's all a cord cutting is. People are afraid to cord cut with living people in their life. Here's the thing. You're always going to have a connection on the heart level. When we release or cut or melt those cords, what we're really doing, you could see it as sort of like plumbing work. You can always, a simple thought, just think of someone. You've created a cord to them again. So you're not like taking away the connection that you have with someone. What you're doing is clearing out the clogs. Because what happens is if we have a long-standing cord with someone and there's maybe codependencies coming back and forth, it gets kind of like clogged up and rusty, just like the arteries in our body or the rusty sort of pipes in a house. And so sometimes those cords have to be removed, replaced, or somehow even like improved on some levels. So you could just imagine this blast of light going between you and that other person. See the light going several times until whatever connections you have are crystal clear. That's a way just to clean the cords. But if you're also ready to sort of explore new things like your own independence, you could just imagine the cords going away and saying, if I need them again, I can call them back into existence. Let me try this path on my own. Let me see if I have the energy within before I go back into tapping into someone, right? And again, because I've just recently experienced loss, this is something that you learn when the person's no longer there. You've incorporated all their lessons. So whether it's an ex-partner or a parent or a loved one that's no longer kind of connected to you, you still have all of the energy from all those years of experiences and all of that life store of sort of like data there. And what happens then is you create a new program. If we constantly try to use the old operating system, it won't work. Has anyone ever gone to an old school, university or whatever, or you go to your parents' house and they have like, you know, Windows 95 or the Mac operating system before it was OS 10 or something, and you try to launch a browser and it just crashes because it can't actually like read modern web pages because things have progressed so much in the past 20 years or 15 years since a lot of those old computers are out there that it just can't process it. So many of you are in a point right now for the cord cutting that you just need to upgrade your processor and your operating system. So reprogram. It can't go back to what it was. As you say, I'm ready for something new, you're going to create better connections. You can call someone better into your life too. The Four of Wands is partnership that's opening up to you. We're going to look at love in just a moment here, okay? So there's a shift, a mental paradigm shift that needs to happen, and you're just going to let that old technology go into a museum. You're going to allow yourself to see it from a different point of view. That's all cord cutting is. But if there is codependencies in your life, you can do this without the other person. Trust me on that. Let's break this down and look at it just from the cards, and we'll see if there's anything in the body, in the mental space, etc., that needs to be focused on. A standard disclaimer whenever I'm looking at any sort of health messages. If you have something going on in your body, work with a doctor. If you are suffering through depression or any sort of mental things, work with a professional, a therapist. I'm here to look at energy and how you can really do the most with the energy in front of you. So spiritually speaking, let's see what's coming through and how it might affect you. Okay. And by the way, I see about grieving. Yeah, grief takes time, but in the grieving process, you understand your own internal strength. It kind of is a gift of the grieving process. Okay? 8 of Swords. Whenever I see 8 or 2 of Swords, it's a reminder to pay attention. If you feel something, if you see something, if you know something, do something about it. So if there's an ache or a pain in your body, talk to your doctor. Don't wait for it to go away. Ask why it's there. If you are aware of something going on around you, someone that's in pain, something that's going on, avail yourself to them. Say that I'm here if you need help. If there needs to be an intervention, you can do that. But mostly it's saying, I see something, I need to do something about it. So do whatever you need to do to be in a healthier place. You may also be suffering from chronic pain or fatigue. Yesterday, I just went and got a chiropractic adjustment. I feel like 110% better. So give your neck, back, shoulders, body, joints, etc. some love. This card has to do with those of you that might be in a chronic sort of fatigue or pain issue. And that also is kind of exacerbated by the 8 of Cups. So do what you need to do to take care of that cycle. And again, to love yourself and care for yourself. Be patient with recovery. It takes time. So whatever it is in your life that you're trying to get through, Temperance reverse is saying be patient. All right. Be patient and be kind. Let's see here. What else? Some of you are just having a hard time concentrating. There's a lot going on and you may just not know where to get started. Ask for help. This is the teamwork here, like 4 of Wands and then we have 2 Knights. You're going to be better with the help of someone else than maybe just continuing to push on your own, right? I think that's going to be super important. We have the World card here saying that getting out, exploring, traveling, all of that is going to be important as well. So break through the monotony and again, maybe work in a different place, travel in a different place. All of that's going to help you out. Okay. How is your hydration looking with the ocean? Maybe drink a little bit more. And of course, the ocean is a very healing place for us to be. So for those of you that are just looking for clarity of mind or body, it might be nice to go and ground yourself and get by the ocean as well. Actually, generally speaking, the health cards look pretty good. The only thing that I'm seeing here could be recovering from pain, either chronic or emotional. The good news is it seemed like it was in the environment or sort of a transitional pain, not a persistent one. But no matter how big or small, the big message that we saw at the center was to acknowledge it, not to sweep it under the rug. And I think that that's going to be vital to maybe even nipping something in the bud as well. Okay, so better to talk about it when it's a little pain than when it becomes something bigger or longer lasting. Okay. All right, let's take a look at your wealth card. We have the Frog card, and I actually love the Frog because it can show the ability to make a cognitive leap, a leap of faith, to make action happen pretty quickly. I forget, I just recently talked about the frog in a totem, but I think it's like, it would almost be like a football field or something like that. If we were to take the comparison and have a human compare how far they could jump to a frog, it would be something ridiculous like that. They can leap several times their body and several times more than you think they could. So for you, we're looking at career and money and wealth. What this is saying is you can thrive because first of all, we see the rainy or swampy energy around it when other people cannot. So you have the ability to thrive in conditions that shouldn't allow you to thrive, and you can get out of a situation. Take that leap, take that jump, see where it takes you. You don't have to stay put if you don't want to. But if you are in a sort of tricky situation, you have everything that it takes to push through. Let's look specifically at some of the cards. I think I'm noticing that there's no pentacles. Yeah, no pentacles. So I'm going to write this down so that when I look at the reader's choice here in a moment, I'll take a look and ask about resources. But I'm looking one more time. Yeah, we've got cups. We have just about everything but pentacles. So let's take a look at just resources in a little bit and see where are they? What are the messages around resources? But now let's just focus on the cards themselves for information around wealth, which is money, career, life purpose. Okay, so looking at all of that, the first thing here for some of you is maybe for the first time in a long time, you just have some clarity. The Eight of Swords, again, is coming out of the dark, right? I'm getting all of these old songs from like the 80s and 90s in my head. That was like a Gloria Estefan song. So anyway, you're coming out of this moment of lack of clarity or obscurity, and you're coming into visibility, understanding, etc. So when you do that, again, there's a decision now, like, what do I do with that? Typically, when we have the epiphany or the aha moment, it happens long before we tell people around us because we're afraid. Someone will think I'm crazy. I've done this much work here toward this degree or job or career, or I've been in this relationship for this long, but now something shifted and I want to try something different. So that's why I want you to really be clear on what it is that you want, so that when you are asked again, and you probably will be asked a couple times if you're going to make a career or a life or a relationship shift, that you're ready for it. Okay? Just like when I quit my job, I had at least 4 people, a boss, her supervisor, a HR person, and then like countless other people say, "What are you doing? Are you sure?" So yes, I was sure. But I had to get to that point that I was absolutely sure. There's actually 3 levels of management that I had to go through, and then HR, and then some other people. So are you sure would be my first question to you before you do it. And if you can't say, yes, I'm sure, figure out why and do some work on that first. Then let's look at some of the other things that are coming through. I'm super excited about your ability to partner with others this month. 4 of Wands and World. That is near future and outcome. Couldn't be better cards if you asked for them when I'm looking at career. And this is a great card for being able to progress forward. This is the partner that you're calling in. Love it, love it, love it, love it. It's all good. The other person can help you decide. Again, they can maybe help you edit or revise or clarify or simply delegate some of this, and it's going to make you clearer minded. So I think the key to happiness and success when we're looking at money, wealth, partnership, and activities this month is partnering up with somebody. It's good. And if you are burned out, by the way, this is a burnout card, and I neglected to say that, but it makes perfect sense when I'm looking at career, then I would say this is your wake-up call to lean on someone, to hire someone, to delegate to someone. And I like the partnership energy. They're going to help you with this sea of craziness that's kind of illustrated with all these cards here. So it looks really good, I have to say, when it comes to all of this partnership and movement for you. So I hope you're ready for that. And again, if you're feeling this, reach out for what we see here for this support, okay? It will bring clarity to you. Some of you are getting the push that you need to move on. So maybe you're not ready for the partnership. You just have to understand, I can't do this anymore. So then ask for some advice and for some support, because maybe the sort of support that you need isn't available where you're at, but there's someone else around you that can assist with it. So whether you're partnering at work or in friendship or in some other aspect, I see a person coming in giving you the support that you need. And then I see you getting into something so much better. So if you're burned out, there's a better job. If you're arguing with someone, it's time to move on. There is a point sometimes where sometimes people are just in too dark of a space and you can't get them out of it. And I've had that sort of situation in my life where I just think, yeah, I may be a light worker, I may be a coach, but if this person isn't ready to hear or receive and they're not at risk of hurting themselves, I just can't help them through that agitation. There are other people better capable of that. And when there happens to be a friend, family member, or coworker that's going through any of that, sometimes that's true. You could just say, I'm so sorry, I can't help, but I know here's someone who can. You can give them a resource. Sometimes that's the best that you can do. And this is more in when there's someone that's just complaining or constantly negative. That energy gets into our frequency and kind of puts this staccato energy, then it's hard for you to concentrate, right? So that's my advice there. I'd like you to talk about money matters since they're absent from here. When I take a look at not the expanded forecast, but the viewer's choice and reader's choice, I'll make sure that I cover resources because it's absent. So sometimes the elephant in the room, which is just a phrase for saying the obvious, doesn't always get talked about. So talk about that. Do the important conversations so if you're negotiating for a job, talk about the fine print. Like, if there's any questions that you have a lawyer look over it, etc. If you're getting married, a prenuptial agreement might be necessary. If you have a family, do the estate planning. Make sure there's a trust in place. Do all of this stuff before you need to do it. Because once it needs to happen, it becomes stressful. So get ahead of the money and the legal matters because they're absent. I mean, the legal stuff is here, but we are not talking about money, and it feels like the money needs to come through. Okay? Overall, again, it feels like it's a chance for you to release or to move on. Because that's the environment, that's the outcome. You are not alone in whatever you decide to do with this situation, however, okay? And we do see success here. Don't stick around in something that has a good reputation if it actually doesn't have a good environment, however, because you can pull in something higher than that. Great. All right, let's move on to many people's favorite, love. So when I look at love with a capital L, meaning that it can be all relationships in your life, not just the romantic ones. So we have the Knight, and this Knight card was reversed. And, we talked a lot about sunspots earlier, so there's light and dark in everything. When we look at the sort of energy of the Knight, I look at it as the energy of dreams and possibilities and creations mixed in with fear and the unknown. That's really what the nighttime is. So we look around and we can't see things, so we have to kind of go within. And sometimes our projections take forms and shapes that really don't mirror what's around us. The shadow from your hand cast on the wall, when you're using a flashlight or a candle, flickers and looks different, and it could be sort of scary until you turn on the lights and you think, it's just my hand. It's just my imagination projecting these things out. So relationships right now could have a lot of projection energy, you projecting to them or them projecting to you, a lot of fear or misinterpretation. So be very careful. But with that is the energy of growth and possibility. All of the stars, we can't see the stars in the day because that big star that is our sun blocks it out. So sometimes you need a reprieve from someone else or your own energy for a moment to see beyond. So I see the night energy as possibilities, the sparkling glimmers of hope that's out there. So focus on the possibilities, move beyond the projections, and move into the sort of creative energy that really is part of night as well. Let's focus on breaking it down into 3 different categories. If you're in a relationship, if you're seeking out a relationship, or if you're just kind of going solo and you're happy, single and happy. The relationship piece can be either love or business, but I'm going to kind of read it as if it were love, and you can basically focus it on any type of relationship in your life. Okay, so current relationships. The biggest thing is, do you see me? Do I see you? Are we being understood? Are we on the same page? So literally using the words, I understand, or I hear you, or it sounds like this is really upsetting. What can I do? Being present, echoing back what you thought you heard, asking how you can be a support to that person. That is the single most important key to any relationship, business, friend, or love. So make sure that you are validating and also sort of like just supporting that person to the best of your ability. There's a decision for many of you, should I stay, should I go? It's a pretty easy one on some levels. If the pain has gotten to a point, or the whatever this is, this sort of discomfort has gotten to a point where the scales are out of balance, it's probably time to move on. But when we look at these 2 cards, absent of these, we see friendship, and we see that the friendship should be enough to bring you through. But what I will say is, whether you stay or go, I still think that the bridge can stay open between you. You don't have to burn the bridge. So current relationships, there's some work that needs to be done on validation and listening and being on the same page. There's some decisions that need to happen on what you want. There is a chance to take a break for some of you. The good news here again is friendship seems to sort of be the central piece. So if you can get back to basics with that person and say, I value our friendship, I see you, and I know what you're going through. This is also what I'm going through. Can we do this? What do you want? Because I think that's one of the things that you're going to have to ask the other party is, what do you want? Knowing what you want is key, but knowing what they want is also going to be key. And then you're going to have to decide. It's ultimately up to you. Is this good enough for me? Is this what I was looking for? Okay? But ultimately, there's a lot of power in this spread when it comes to relationships, power to decide. And there's also a lot of opportunity for growth. The only thing that can get in the way is family or coworkers or friends, the public. There's optics. The Six of Wands in reverse is pressure from external forces. So don't let the optics of a situation overshadow what we see here, which is probably the stuff that needs to be fixed that you know is the true underbelly. It's like lifting the rock up and you see all the creepy crawlies. The rock is not the indication of it. What's underneath it, that's what needs to be healed, okay? So it may be optically or externally looking good. People may not understand what your movement is, but if you're going through this, you're on the right path. Okay, ultimately, it looks pretty manageable. It's just a choice. And if this can't resolve, then it's time for this. All right. If you're looking for love, yes, you can find love. And I have two evenly matched cards here with the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Swords. I love it when I get two kings, two queens, two knights, etc. It's showing people that are in the same energy. This is you. This is the person coming in. So what I'm seeing here is the person coming in could be an air sign, or they could just be really talkative. And they have a lot to say, but they're also really good at helping you decide things. So I see a really great communicator on the horizon here. You may have a difficult time, and it's more in your head, keeping up, feeling like you can keep up with them. You are keeping up with them, but one thing that's kind of interesting is just because you're not verbally communicating doesn't mean that you can't convey things. And just because you may not have the same way of speaking, whether it's a different language or like you feel less articulate, that isn't it either, because it's more about conveying the heart of the situation. So I feel like there's a nice match on the horizon for you. But here's the work that has to be done. Heal thyself. Make sure that you are healed completely in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. Take a break if you need to. Some of you are just burned out. And so what you need to do is take a break. Spending time with friends, family, and anyone that you really care about could actually be what attracts this person to you. So not when you're out on, dating or like a dating app, or out trying to find someone at an activity or something that's too preconceived. It feels like just being in the presence of people that you're having a good time with, being yourself, people are going to naturally be drawn to your smile, your way of speaking, the way that you emanate energetically or in your appearance. They're going to be attracted to you. So don't work so hard on it. Just be yourself, have some fun, and spend some time with people that you love. Specifically heal the body, because that's one thing that's coming through as a block here. So if there's anything internally, emotionally, or externally that needs to be healed, please focus on that first. But yeah, I see love coming in. It could also be someone that you've never met before, like outside of your normal circle of friends, maybe just moved, maybe they're from another country, maybe just a different circle that you wouldn't travel with. And that's why I want you to kind of just move on with life in general, because that person will find you organically. All right. If you're single and happy, good for you. It still feels like there's some stress that you need to manage. So all relationships this month, you need to focus on your health, and then also remove yourself from toxic situations. If you're not attached to any person right now, work is stressing you out a bit, or some activity is, or pressure to succeed. So pull back a little bit from that. Focus instead on something that you want to do. Take a class, do something for personal enrichment. You'll meet someone doing that, a new friend possibly, because this can be just a really amazing friendship. It can be monogamy, it can be love, it can be friendship, but whatever it is, it starts with that core connection. And I feel like if you do something that you really love, you could meet someone cool. There's a chance to travel, or a chance to learn something from this person as well. So overall, good energies across the board. I like what I see. let's focus on your destiny card, which is something that is malleable. This is something that you affect. It's not written in stone. We have the 3 little mice here. The mice are interesting when it comes to a symbol in tarot because there are things that I like and things that I don't like about the particular totem. So I would say what's nice about mice is that they're kind of scrappy and they're able to they're resourceful, all right? So what I think your biggest strength right now is the ability to take something small and make it grow. So there's this resourceful energy. They're sneaky though. So I would say there's a chance to really just be as transparent as possible and encourage others to be the same. Remind people that if they try to get away with something, it's not going to work. You have your third eye open, you have your intuition finely tuned this month. And when you notice the little mice doing things that they shouldn't be doing, act and speak up as quickly as possible to make sure that that doesn't get worse, because mice multiply. So there's an abundant energy, a scrappy, resourceful energy to them, and there's also this need to kind of like stop something before it goes further than you want it to go. So a lot of messages on destiny in that respect. So I would just say, be honest with yourself and others, hold them to be accountable, stop something that starts to kind of like take on a life of its own. And then otherwise, it's just an abundant card. So things could pop up in unexpected places. Thankfully, I haven't had to experience too many mice in my life. I think when I was a kid, there was one in one of our houses that came in from the outside during the winter, but I just remember my mother screaming and the mouse running across there. My dad eventually kind of got a broom and chased it outside. We didn't have to do anything other than that, but they're kind of cute. I have seen them actually walking the dog, and it's almost like an electronic sounding peep that they make. And I heard one, I didn't get to see this one. I'm like, I know there's a little mouse in there somewhere. So pay attention to the inner voice, sweep out any of the stuff that doesn't need to be in your life, and you're going to be fine. All right, let's go ahead now and move on to the next portion. So we've already gone through the Celtic Cross and expanded forecast. I always like to pull a big idea card just to help us see if there's one last thing that can really help us get in the right trajectory. So let's look at the big idea right now, and then we'll move on to the next portion. One last thing before I do that, don't take the bait. That's another thing that I would see. And we could absolutely connect the mice to the 10 of Swords. So that was one last message. All right, back to the big idea. We have the 8 of Wands, which is a really great card for the big idea. So big idea, 8 of Wands, we see this ability to really create tangible, consistent momentum. And for many of you that are trying to do something substantial in your life, this could mean that it's something that you can predict too. So like small business people out there, if you just launched a company, or if you've been working to try to get more clients to come back, what I like with the 8 of Wands versus the 8 of Cups, this is sporadic. This means that you may get someone come back once in a blue moon. So maybe once a year, once every 2 years, once every few months. You can't predict it. This is something where for those business types out there that you could actually say, I am consistently seeing this, this, and this from a month to month to month basis. I can project out that I probably need this for the next quarter of the year. So it's a very nice card when it comes to predictability. So I see things getting a little more predictable, even if it's not in business, in life in general. I think you're going to be busy. This is a hidden community card, and I like that we see another person in the back. Actually, we see a bunch of people on this card. So with every wand that you would see, someone had to either hold that wand or push it in motion. Depending on the deck that you see, they're either like rockets in the air or wands being thrown like javelins or batons, or you see a bunch of people around it like a campfire in one of the decks that I have. So you're busy, but you're not alone. You have to slow down and reach out if you need that assistance in your life to kind of make things better. Okay, let's move on to blessings and blocks. Let's look at something to really embrace. Let's look at something that you might want to be aware of. We've already talked about some high-level blessings and blocks, but let's see if there's a big one in each category. All right. Okay, we already have a blessing card. Fantastic, Ace of Cups. And we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse for the block. So let's talk about these two. All right, starting with your blessing, Ace of Cups. I don't think anyone's going to complain with this one. That can be inspiration. This can be love. This can be also just creativity, this sort of in the flow of things. We talked earlier about the ocean and not feeling like you were beholden to the waves or the tides, that you were actually the magician channeling all of this. So love who you are, love what you do, and love will flow through you energetically. It's great. So yeah, if you're trying to manifest something cool this month, whether it's a new relationship or a new opportunity, the key to it is to be happy with yourself and with what it is that you're trying to accomplish. The joy, the happiness, the love, it's the biggest magnet that you can get. There's a lot of things out there you have to pay for, but you don't have to pay for that attractive energy when you're truly sort of feeling that sense of joy and love. You could meet somebody really pivotal this month, friendship or love. Ace of Cups doesn't really discriminate there. So open yourself up. There's a new relationship that wants to come in. Even if you're in a relationship, I'm not talking about love. It could just be a great friend, a great ally, a mentor, or something of that nature. What could block you this month? So we have the Page of Pentacles. This is a really interesting one. So let's look at it upright. It came through reversed. Upright, we see someone looking through all the different angles of a project. We see that pentacle, that coin in front of their eyes. The reversal of this card is someone thinking, I don't have enough, or I'm not sure if this is right for me. Now, I'm not sure it's right for me might actually be valid. There might be a missing piece. You might be trying to force something to fit together when it's broken and it doesn't feel right. So don't force it. That's actually a good message with this Knight reversed. It either fits or it doesn't. I have a very wide shoe that I wear, and I have to get like quad E shoes because it just won't fit otherwise. So I can't just go to a store and buy anything off the rack. I have to go online and buy something that I like, and usually there's only 4 colors or one color. Sometimes it's like blue or red or black. I can't get any of those fun sort of designs that are out there, but I've tried and it makes my feet hurt. So just like putting your foot in a shoe that doesn't fit, it doesn't work. That works in a relationship metaphor and also in a job. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So pay attention to the fit of things. It either fits and it works or it doesn't. And I really think that's the main piece of this particular message. You may also need to take something apart in order to figure out what to do next. There's a deconstructive energy to this. So I would say for some of you, the way that it's working, it's not working. So there's too many pieces together. Sometimes we see this with companies. They get too bloated, too big. And so what happens? They spin off a subsidiary or they have to get broken up because of antitrust or monopoly laws. So maybe you need to simplify. So don't make something, try to fit when it doesn't. And if you need to simplify, simplify. That's how you turn the block into a blessing. Okay? And let's move on to the next piece, which is going to be the viewer's choice and the reader's choice. So we already know what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at resources since there was a lack of those resources showing up, or they were kind of under the surface. So why don't we take a look for you at some things that you can vote on. So let me pull up the browser here, and I'm going to look at all of the cards and give you some options. All right, so the viewer's choice. We already know resources is one thing. I want to look at healing since we have here the 10 of Swords on the side. So healing, I'm just going to put healing the 10 of Swords. So we'll see whatever message wants to come through for that. I think partnerships are really interesting. So let's look at partnerships, partnership messages. Let me see here. I also think that coming to a decision is going to be so important. So I'm going to just put decision time. Stay or go, because it feels like that might be for some of you what's on your mind. And finally, I think that might be enough. Yeah, that's enough. So let's go ahead now and cap it at, oh wait, I just lost that one. Decision time. Stay or go. Okay, so let's go ahead and let you vote on this, viewer's choice. A reminder that you'll be able to do this on your mobile device or your computer only, not on a TV. And if it's an older device, it may not work. All right, so let's go ahead now and take a look at the reader's choice, which is going to be resources. Why did they not appear? What do you need to know about money or about time or about energy that we haven't yet seen? Okay, very interesting, Two of Swords. Okay, so for some of you, I think that you might be in this sort of, it's kind of like shades of gray when we see the Two of Swords when it comes to money. The thing here with the Two of Swords in reverse is you have a feeling like I need to go down this path. I'm just looking at the kind of difference between the two when it's reversed. I actually see the Two of Swords upright as better than the two, reversed versus the upright. So they're pretty similar. Both of these we kind of see someone on a tightrope. The Two of Pentacles, balancing two options in front of you, is very close to the Two of Swords. Sometimes when you're in the Two of Pentacles, it's easier because you just feel that I'm more attached to this. The Two of Swords will happen when you break it down and you think, gosh, there's pros and cons for both. I'm not sure. Sometimes we just have to take that leap of faith. And I feel like this is one of those instances where you're going to do as much work as you can and then make the best judgment call. Again, when I was trying to make some decisions for a loved one, the same sort of things had to happen where you don't have time. You might have minutes, hours, or days to make certain decisions. And you have to move beyond the Two of Swords. Because the Two of Swords is mostly fear. If there is a lack of information, ask. Do the research, talk to somebody, get on the phone. That's what I was doing a lot of. So talk, research. And then once you're either going to be up against the deadline or you're going to have enough and you're starting to see sort of cyclical stuff. So when you get to that point where you think, I've seen everything that I can see, this is where I'm going to go. So for resources this month, ask if you need to, and then make a decision. And it's a shade of gray. There's not enough kind of information for some of you. The fact that we got both the Two and the Eight of Swords bothers me when it comes to businesses. So if you're working for a company where they're not disclosing what they need to disclose, or they're not speaking about like openly your financial growth or your career growth, you need to find a better place. Because that to me is just unnecessarily either covert or they're hiding something. So you should be able to honestly speak about money. And if you can't, that's a red flag. Okay, so that's the message there. Don't be afraid of what you don't know. Find it out, and then you'll know more. It's like that silly NBC thing, the more you know. The more you know, the stronger you are, the more capable you are of moving forward. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look and see which one you've selected for me to read. I think you made a great choice. We have Healing the Ten of Swords. So as I said, this can be emotional, this can be spiritual, this can be an environment sort of thing. So let's see what the message is around Ten of Swords. We have the Three of Pentacles in reverse. Got a lot of things to talk about for that. So one of these, because we're talking about healing pain, you do not need the validation. It would be nice to have. You've earned it for all intents and purposes. You've done the work. We see him putting in those finishing touches. But sometimes we can sit and wait forever and nothing is good enough, right? So for those of you that have, let's say you went to college, you worked really hard, you did all of this stuff, mom and dad still pick at you. Or you've been really working on your mental and physical health so that you could appear more, beautiful to a mate or something. If you've done all the work inside and out, if you've done everything that you can and you're still not getting the external validation, you don't need it. It isn't as important as how do you feel. Because interestingly enough, the more we focus on needing it, the less that it means on some levels, and the more that people may be reluctant to give it to us because they're not so sure that we need it or that we deserve it, because there's sort of this feeling of lack of security. So one of the things that I want you to feel confident about is you're in exactly the situation and the opportunity that you need to be ready to make this big pivot. It may be a painful one, but it's going to expand and heal you and push you into a direction that you never imagined. All you have to do is to get through this moment, and you don't need to be perfect, and you don't need the support or the validation from everyone else. You're learning through this this experience. It was an educational experience, like the biggest PhD that you could have gotten. And once you figure out, like, I'm done with this, you graduate. And this is a card of graduation. So the ultimate message with the Three of Pentacles in reverse is, whether you realize it or not, you've already gained the experience that you needed. Now you're just letting yourself kind of like go through this experience, this motion. And the sooner you're kind of done with it, the sooner something else can open up. But no amount of schooling, no amount of hard work, no amount of acquisition of wealth or personal belongings sometimes is ever going to be enough for that other person. So you've done everything that you need on a soul level to be solid. Is that enough? I hope it is for you. So forget about the external validation, the gold star, the award, the conditional, I love you because you did this, because it's conditional. You don't need the conditional love. You need unconditional love. You need support. You need that sort of internal fulfillment that doesn't come with letters after your name, gold stars, A pluses, and all that stuff. They're nice to have. They're sprinkles on top of a cupcake, but they're not the actual meat and potatoes. I'm mixing a bunch of metaphors. I'm a vegan anyway, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, so I will say this, though. I feel like something really cool is on the horizon for you. The Three of Pentacles is accomplishment. It is recognition. The Six of Wands, which appeared in here, is the same. So my advice to you is to recognize your own value, your own worth, and to go on whatever path you will, and I see success en route. So if you just found like this painful experience, maybe it was failure, maybe it was loss, maybe it was just not meeting up to your own expectations, this is nothing compared to the really cool stuff on the horizon for you, okay? And the really quote unquote cool stuff, if we were to look at all of this, is a great friendship, a really good expansive experience, recognition, multiple cards showing recognition. You just have to move past the pain of the moment. And the grief and the pain is going to be different for every person. It could take weeks or months, it could take years, but the sooner you move past that, the sooner you open up to something else, the sooner it can come in, okay? Okay. Let's take a look here at something special. I don't have it yet on this. I think I'll make some time today to put it into the slides, if not by next week. I'm still experimenting with the portion, or like where I'm going to put it in, which is why I didn't put it here. But we're going to now add in a sun, rising, and moon message. Remember this, you can always use every one of my readings for any placement in your chart. So sun, rising, moon, Venus, etc., etc. But because sun, rising, and moon are the most frequently watched, I'm going to also pull an extra card for those of you that happen to be in one of those placements, so you can figure out the lens with which you should sort of view this particular reading. All right, let's pull the cards first, and then we'll break the messages down. If you like this, make sure that you put a comment on replay or even in the live chat. Sun, rising, moon. All right, let's break these messages down. We're going to start with all of you that are watching for your sun sign. So if you are Virgo sun, we have the Seven of Pentacles, and the Seven of Pentacles is reversed. So the Seven of Pentacles comes through when we're in the process of healing, some of us are also in the process of building something back up, particularly financial sort of health. So Seven of Pentacles can happen after we come out of debt, or we didn't have enough, there was a lack, and we're starting to build up to abundance. After this would be Eight of Pentacles, which is a return on your energy and your investment. Nine of Pentacles, which is independence. 10 of Pentacles, which is graduation. So you're in the right direction. What it's reminding you to do is to look at what triggered you before to make maybe not the best decisions, or what's triggering the feelings that you're not worthy or you're not ready, and you'll be all right. There is an interesting card here. I think I just recently pulled it for another, see if I can find it. Seven of Pentacles also requires patience in making something grow. So if you've been through a period where, again, you have to rebuild, it kind of starts with that Ace of Pentacles card, and then it works its way through. And just like transplanting or propagating something new, you can't rush growth. You can sometimes, I'm sure you've noticed this if you have a garden, if you put like too much fertilizer what happens is you can actually burn it out, like burn out grass and other things. So you have to be patient and just sort of like keep showing up. And that's the message that I would say. I love this Seven of Pentacles. Very different approach to this one. So we see someone here with the kindness and patience. We see someone here that's trying to push it a little bit and is saying, you know, I've lost patience, or I feel like I might be going down that other path again. So stay on that path of being patient and you'll be all right. Growth, development, and accomplishment, all of that stuff is en route, okay? All right, so let's focus now on the rising or ascending sign. And for those of you that have Virgo in rising or ascendant, it's actually quite good this month. We have the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is fantastic for friends, for family, for engagements, for new love. People are very much interested in what you have to say or offer. And because rising or ascendant is how you project yourself to people, wow, this is going to be really, really good for business in particular. A good time to hold a fundraising event or to hold some sort of an announcement or a launch. When it comes to trying to meet people, you're also putting your best foot forward. So again, if you're trying to date or expand your circle of friends, then the 10 of Cups is allowing you to do all of that as well. And people are interested in what they see, okay? So perfect timing for all of my Virgo risings out there. Now looking at Moon, this is an interesting, it's an interesting card to come through for the Moon. We have the Emperor card in reverse. So some of you are kind of having a tug of war struggle with somebody. It's a power struggle. And so the Moon sign also has to do with some of our hopes and fears and some of the things that we don't always share with other people. So for many of you, there could be control issues that stem from familial energies, particularly like parents or mentors. And they're playing out this month in other relationships. So if you can resolve some of the issues that you had with families or teachers or some like past close relationships, but like when you were a kid, it's going to help you this month. The good news is you have the power, you have the capacity to make something happen. It's just about not letting the experiences from the past become like this little voice in the head where it's like, you can't do this. I'm here to say you can do this, but you're going to be tested a little bit when it comes to your ability to take charge. So someone could come in and say, who are you to decide? So be ready to say, this is why I have a stake in it. This is who I am, and this is my opinion. And if you have a problem with that, then we need to discuss. We need to talk about this. So someone may try to challenge or check your authority. Hold firm in your authority, okay? That's really the key message there. You have what it takes. There's some fear that you don't, but you do, okay? So if you enjoyed the sun, rising, and moon portion, by all means, let me know in the comments below and also in the live chat. Someone was asking about my schedule. You can always see my schedule on my website. So this is a nice sort of segue. It's on the main page of my website. Well, you can click on the schedule link there. You can also go to YouTube, and it's pinned, and it's also pinned on Twitter. And I just posted it on the community tab on YouTube. It's literally everywhere. So take a quick look on any of those sites or the pinned comment up above, and you'll be able to discern my upcoming schedule. But it goes in the order of the zodiac. So we'll be doing Libra tomorrow. I'm doing a collective on the weekend, and then it will be Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. That's why I do it in order, because it's easy for me to know what's coming up next. And so that's the order that I do it in. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far, please hit the like button. All of you that are chatting, you're already subscribed. But if you haven't already subscribed, it's free and it helps. So why not do it? And I've noticed some, sometimes trends where there's not as many. So please help me out. It helps YouTube serve it up. All right. And if you enjoy and want to sort of show support in real time, you can do a super sticker or super chat. Since I operate during the weekdays without a moderator, I will call out any sort of contributions at the very end. And again, follow me on social if you haven't already. All right, let's get ready for the next phase. I'm going to look one more time just to make sure that we covered everything. We did indeed. We're going to move on to the meditation next. The meditation is a chance for us to kind of integrate. I see sometimes people drop off. I would say stick around, because this is where you get to ask your silent questions. So if there's someone or something that you're wondering about, stick around for 2 minutes, listen to the meditation and singing bowl, and then I'll look at your question. For the rest of you that want to do a little bit of work on your soul and kind of amp yourself up a little bit, I really love the energy of the sunflower, which I showed you some fresh ones in the background there. And I feel like that is a nice kind of metaphor for the sun energy as well. So why don't we imagine that we are just like a sunflower opening up. We're going to shine brightly. And I'm going to, if there's any sort of parts of ourself where we feel like there's a dimming of energy or we feel like we're in an environment where that light doesn't exist, one thing that I forgot to put in the slides was just to sort of like be the light and to shine a little bit brighter. So close your eyes. See yourself on the top of this beautiful hill. I'm kind of seeing the rolling hills that you would see like in The Sound of Music or whatever. And imagine that if you want to, you can be Edelweiss, but you can also see sunflowers. So imagine that there are beautiful sunflowers, wild sunflowers on the top of this hill. They are blowing in the breeze, and allow yourself to either lay down in the field of sunflowers. Let's do that. Lay down and see yourself surrounded by all of this bright yellow energy. This is going to help you if you're working through the power struggles that we talked about. So feel like this yellow energy is starting to infuse itself in your auric field and see yourself literally shining brightly. And imagine that like one of those giant sunflowers, petal by petal, you're going to see these beautiful arcs of light open up around your heart in a clockwise fashion. And if you want to, then you can see this repeat with each one of your chakra fields, and then they start to spin in circles. So you can see these petals opening around each and every one of your 7 points of energy. You can also see them emanating in the other direction as well. So in all planes, there's these petals opening up, and you see like rays of light coming out from your body. As you're doing this, I just want you to feel this sense of possibility. I'm just going to go ahead and play the singing bowl today. I'm doing an executive decision so that we can move with the flow of this. So listen to the singing bowl, enjoy this energy, and enjoy the sort of upgrade that you're feeling. And then right after I play the singing bowl, we will come back and I'll take a look at your final card. Feel a sense of possibility. I am capable. I am ready. I'm ready to receive love and abundance in the highest forms. Take a deep breath. Imagine if you could that flower could rise up into the sky, that you could shine like the sun above and pull into your life whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. Seeing yourself as worthy, capable, strong, brilliant. Focus now on whatever final card or message it is that you are seeking, and I'm going to take a look and see what kind of guidance is coming through for you. All right, so we have the Chariot, which was something that I highlighted earlier. So we have the Chariot in reverse. Let's go ahead and take a look at the message that I had right at the beginning, because we have a couple of synchronicities with this. So when I was pulling the Chariot in my own messages earlier today, what I was reminding you of is that basically there's a cyclical sort of energy that's happening in a course correction. The interruption or this course correction, that piece can't be controlled, but what you decide to do with it can. So when we have this sort of interruption or this shift that happens in our life, the question here is, what are you going to do about it? And what I saw when I was looking at Dreams and Meditations last night was this sort of, like I said, a dead end. So it feels like some of you are approaching the full stop or end of something. And I would say you don't have to kind of like, this is particularly if something's already done. If you're looking at something, you're like, there's no reason for me to keep moving because I've experienced everything. So this is saying, do a course adjustment. The other thing here, we talked about power, particularly for those of you with Virgo moon, you may be looking at a situation where you have to step into the lead, reclaim your power, or challenge authority. Challenging authority is going to be really important with this too. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. Say, first of all, it could simply be also saying, do you want me to do this? Because one thing that you can get in trouble with sometimes if you're managing up can be overstepping your bounds or your like whatever they think you should be able to do. So before you do something, just say, I assume you want me to do this. I'm going to do this, this, and this. Is that right? So you can validate assumptions when it comes to responsibility. If someone says to do something and you know it's wrong, say, I thought that this was the policy. Are we covered on this? Should we look into this? Or I don't feel comfortable. But make sure that you're saying why, not just that you don't like it. And then also this is an encouragement for you to just try something different. Sometimes we're thrown into a situation where we have to decide or we have to make the decisions. And this is saying it may not be fun, but you can absolutely do it. Ultimately, the Chariot in reverse is a sort of figurative question or a kind of like a, not a figurative question. There's a different word that I'm trying to think of, but it's basically just saying rhetorical. It's a rhetorical question and it's sort of like who's in charge. So only you can answer that. If nobody's running the ship is just floating out at sea. So somebody needs to take the wheel and kind of like steer the ship in the right direction, okay? So for some of you, I'm just seeing like there's a foggy leadership. So don't be afraid to step in. And if people don't want you to step in or it's just foggy in general, find a place where it is clearer. Because we've seen a few of these cards today, particularly with the Seven of Cups, I think, and the Eight of Cups. There could be this sort of, this cycle between indecision and what's going on, okay? That, my friends, is your reading in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed it. One last time to show a little bit of love if you have a chance. A reminder that you can always follow me and get information about my upcoming schedule by checking out the links. And now I just want to say thank you to everybody who joined today, particularly those who gave back a little bit. If it's your first time, welcome. I hope to see you again tomorrow for Libra or on the weekend for the collective. If you're a longtime viewer, supporter, or member, thanks for making this possible. Now, for anybody who is brand new, I'm just going to send a shout out right now. So give me a moment here to take a look at brand new members, and then we'll move from there. All right, so looking at members that joined in the last day or two since the last reading that I did, we have Janelle Baker rejoining after 5 months of membership, so welcome back. Vicky Lopez, same amount of time, rejoining, thank you. Trish Perez, also rejoining. Brand new member, Trish Perez. Nina Early, also, new member. Kathy Cephas is rejoining after almost 19 months, almost 20 months. Welcome back. Anita S. as well, rejoining after 9 months. And I think that's everybody since the last reading that has joined. So much appreciated and welcome. And let's take a look at some folks that gave some super stickers or super chats. All right, so kicking things off today, who did we have? Let's see, we have We Out There Effect. Good to see you again. Thank you very much. Catherine Keller, Buddha Lion, Melissa Grant, Peppermint, Robin Redman, Jeannie Hart, Jazzy, I think it is, Pinot Noir 6, Jules in July, Galaxy's Greatest Treats Tarot, that's like a tongue twister, Love is Love, Mahima Lalit, let's see, Mind Travels, spelled differently, I think, M. Glynn, Alice Felice, We Out There Effect, thank you again, and Amitabha 108, thank you so much. I think I caught everybody. So much love and light to everybody that was able to show up today. Thanks for being a kind and courteous audience too. Again, I've been just kind of rolling without a moderator for the weeklies or for the weekday readings, and it seems to be going well. Thank you, Pancake Dragon, as well. All right, so a reminder, again, Libra tomorrow and the weekly collective on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, lots of love from little Apollo in the background and I. We wish you all of the best now and always. You take care of yourselves and, sorry, I got out of focus. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you soon. All right.